with CashNet USA.
Are you or a loved one suffering with addiction to opiates or prescription painkillers?
A straight mess.
Medication-assisted treatment is the proven most effective method.
This is the live session before the live session. This is the live session before the live session because we're about to go live again in a second. So the fact that you're listening right now, we've got something that we got to handle. So we're gonna go live in a second. But we just wanted to say that why we love social media. Why we love social media. Part of the reason we love social media is there are so many brothers and sisters that we've been able to get next to that we would have never met ever in life had it not been for social media. And you know, to take it back. We've lived in 8 states and 13 cities. And we're a social kind of guy. Like, we're out and about, we're moving and we're shaking, we're going to nightclubs, pool halls, wine takes, like museum, like festivals. Like that's the kind of person we are. So we've been lucky enough to bump into so many people just because of our outgoingness, if you will. That's a word because we have poetic license. But we run around and we see posts and people that we're linked up with and this, that, and the third, and just in our timeline and our feed or whatever. And we see so many brothers and sisters that we just know in passing. And you might have caught the post we made, what was it, yesterday, about frequencies and vibrating, as far as like everything has a vibration, just to bore you again, right? A rock, that was the example we used. A rock, regardless of its status, right? If it's in a solid, a liquid, or a gas, it vibrates at a certain frequency. And people in general, especially our people, we vibrate at certain frequencies. And there's just so many folks, and you know, and putting everything aside, religion, politics, just to go race first. And when we say race first, we mean all of the humans and those that have the descendants of humans. And when we start talking about Latinos, when we start talking about Mexicanos, the original indigenous people, whether they're Aztecs, Olmecs, or Mayans, whoever, those people were copper colored and whatnot. Alfie, baby. All right, we gonna let you hop in here real quick. So we really appreciate fact that social media exists so we can be so interconnected with all of these people that we would normally never ever be able to reach and touch base with. Alfie, we got you in. You there?
No.
What's good? Oh, you don't have to type. Like, we got you live.
No.
Okay, Alfie didn't want to be live anymore. So anyway, yeah, we're just really cool. Like, by the technology that they actually put in, the technology they put in to monitor us, to check on what we're doing on a regular basis, that we've been able to utilize it. Those people that are using it more for the powers of good than evil are able to interconnect and vibe. And it's like we come by posts and we see things like captions and comments and people adding on and building, like the energy that somebody's putting out there. And that is so amazing to us. That's legitimately really amazing. And we can't tell you how much we appreciate it. And we appreciate everybody that puts out that positive energy, you know, like to really take the time because, you know, it's easy to want to argue with somebody. It's easy to want to disagree with something. And especially if somebody's putting out bogus information. And, you know, we see a lot of male bashing. Like, so many people are quick to talk about toxic masculinity, but not toxic feminine energy. Like, that's not even something you can speak to. But the thing about it is that when we see the love that's floating around and people added on to, like, concepts, whether it's relationships, whether it's historical quote unquote facts, and then not his story and getting the history right, we love seeing that. We love seeing people add on and enhancing each other, like our people doing the most. Negroes, Latinos alike. It's beautiful. Actually, it's really beautiful. And then the real hope is that pro-blackness, that pro-human that's going on social media can actually be transcribed into real life, into everyday life. And like we said, when we mentioned it in the post, is that when we say what's up to a brother and sister, or even, like somebody that looks Mexican-ish and they don't reciprocate, yeah, it cuts, but we don't know what's going on their side. Like we don't know where their knowledge base is. We don't know where their day is. We don't know. So we can't take it personally. We can't really be ultra offended by them not being human, like in that moment, because it is what it is. But yeah, we actually have a thing real quick, and we're gonna be back. We're gonna be back live, and we're probably gonna have a guest. So check on us when you see the notification pop. Peace. Da 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 da. Hey Christy, how you doing, sister girl? Edwin, thanks for checking us out. So where were we? We were just discussing about how much we love social media. And the thing is that if you've been rocking with us for a minute, you probably have caught on to the fact that we've progressively been sharing items and ideologies. Like we constantly say things that build on things that we've said before. So for newcomers, anybody that's brand new, it might be confusing if you haven't picked up on that little bit of, how it works, right? Because there's times that we'll make 4 or 5 posts back to back. Normally it's 3 at the most, but we'll make posts back to back that support each other. And it's like, if you run up on the last post and have something to say or whatnot, you're kind of out of the mix. You're out of the loop. And then the thing is that if we shared something before that you've missed, and then we have to go back and catch you up. And that's the thing is because a great deal of people, not just so, but people are, honestly, social media is just a whole bunch of people thinking out loud. Wait, hold on. What did Edwin say? Edwin, happy to accept the women that voted for Trump. Yeah, exactly. Edwin, yes. Happy International Women's Day, except those that voted for Donnie and or are still supporting that dude, right? But yeah, so what we're saying is that pretty much everybody on social media is putting out stuff that they're thinking of out loud and deciding it's like, hey, look, somebody else should see this. Because back in the gap, prior to social media, being invented or whatnot, when you would have to hear something, you would pick up the phone and call people about it. And it's like we remember being a kid watching the news with our parents. And whenever there was a crime or whatever, and they would be talking about, oh, this, that, and the third, this was committed, that was committed, and they didn't show the face. Our parents were like, yeah, it was a white person. And we were like, how do y'all know? And then because they didn't put their face up. And after we started keeping game, after they put us onto that, every time it was one of our people, their face automatically on the news. And we know it now, right now. They come out with their criminal history, backgrounds, marital status, affiliations, the whole 9 when it's one of ours, right? They run that down. But the thing is that what was on the news was something that was conversation worthy as far as picking up the phone and talking to somebody. That was what you would talk about or whatever, is what you saw. And now with social media, people are sharing what they see. And, we repost things and we, borrow things from people and we flip things and we'll pick memes or whatever and make videos and all that to express or further a thought on it, or vice typing it out, because it's so much easier and quicker for us to do that. And we feel that it's more effective to verbally communicate than the written word, or type word, to be real specific. Because people aren't designed to read. And that's why so many people don't. But yeah, and that's what we love about social media. That's what we love, is that people have the ability to express themselves. Now, unfortunately, there's some misinformation going on. And it's no one's fault. It's no one's fault. It's no one's fault. Especially our people, because they want us out there being confused, being misled, not having an identity. And as much as we dislike utilizing the Bible, is that in the story of how Moses was fronting around for 40 years, like traveling in the desert or whatever and misleading the people or whatever, because they didn't have a home or whatnot, the Israelites didn't have a home or whatnot, it kind of set the platform for the Negro, the American Negro, or the so-called Negro, we should say, because we actually know more than we let on. Like more than we let on. Y'all, everybody that knows, right? We'll get to that, Edwin. Actually, we're going to tie that in here. Because when we don't have the knowledge of self, like our own identity, where's our charger? We don't have our own identity to focus on. And we're technically wandering in the desert right now. And right now, there's so many people that are jockeying for position, like for power and leadership and ownership of the community. And we remember, and some of y'all probably do, where there were some Negroes that were having internet beef, talking about, we're going to battle for the leadership of the conscious community. And we're sitting there looking, and we're like, first off, we don't know who put you in charge in the first place. Like, we understand, your accolades and all that you've done and everything that you're planning on doing and doing now for our people. However, nobody elected any of these so-called black leaders. Not one. Like, we missed the election. Maybe you heard. Maybe you got your ballot and submitted. Maybe it was an email or something. We missed the memo. We didn't elect nobody. We didn't elect nobody. So when it comes to black leadership, we always are weary of their motivations. Except the exception to that. The exception to that is Brother Malcolm. The exception to that is Dr. Claude Anderson. The exception to that is even David Banner. Like, when we check on these brothers, they are so solid. Dr. Francis Cress Wessling, Dr. Joy DeGrary? We can't call her name right now, but we've been checking on her, and we're really embarrassed that we can't get her name out. But the thing is that there's so many of these people out here that are putting out decent, at least in our opinion, we're going to call it decent information, as far as their goal set not having a quiz behind it. Because we hear these, again, so-called black leaders putting out things that are playing to emotions. There's one in Pacific that we can think of who has a degree in psychology. Degree. Thank you, Menticide. Thank you. He has a degree in psychology and then speaks to the people in order to play on your emotions. Like, we've heard him speak, and he said something that was so incredulous. We're actually working on the podcast. We promise you they're coming. But he said something that plays on people's emotions more so than their intellect, because he puts out a half-truth, which is a half-truth, so it's halfway true, right? But the thing about it is he leaves out all of the mitigating factors to why that is true. And the causations in it are based on our people. like reacting off of again emotion. And one of the things is that when we start talking about Afro Mexicanos or Afro Latinos in general, you know, and it becomes it becomes one of these hinky, muddled endeavors, because on one hand, Negroes are like, yo, look, you this color or darker, your hair is nappy, you got the real good hair, because nappy hair is good hair, in case anybody was confused on that. Nappy hair is the actual good hair. It's the only real hair that's out there, because according to reports and the scientific data, white folks grow fur. That's what it is. That's what grows out of the hair. And we're not taking shots and we're not trying to down anybody. It's just those are the twist and latest facts. So on one hand, you have Negroes sitting there talking about, well, you're an Afro Latino or Afro Mexicano, and you look just like us. And matter of fact, rewind the tape. One day we were sitting there at our sister's place or whatever, and this dude that she's making time with or whatnot, he's politicking and da-da-da. We walk up in the spot and we're like, hey, how you doing, man? And he's like, oh, buenos this? And we're like, oh no, buenos noches, because it was nighttime. We remember it was nighttime. And we were like, oh, okay, well, how you doing, man? And he's like, lo siento, no hablo inglés. Mind you, dude is darker than midnight in the countryside. You like, that's how black he was. And or he probably still is or whatever. And he don't speak no English because he's Mexican. And you know, this was the first time we ever ran into the situation or scenario. Because, you know, in our neighborhood growing up, it was technically a barrio. There were a whole bunch of people that were our color that were all Mexican. Like, straight up, like, you couldn't tell them nothing about it. And the thing is because of the game of colorism that floats around the entire globe, is that there's so many different communities that have African DNA within them, but the way that Europeans have programmed folks to make Africa the lowest common denominator, that they don't want to associate it with. Like, and you know, Dominicans get it the worst. And personally, we don't know a whole bunch of Dominicans. And the ones that we do know claim to be Afro-Latino, the ones that we know. However, Dominicans are at the top of the pecking order as far as people going to talk about how Dominicans don't want to be African. They're the first ones that come off rip. After Dominicans or Puerto Rocks. However, again, we know Dominicans, Puerto Ricans, Cubanos, we know a whole bunch of people of Afro-Latino descent that will say outright, hey, I'm African, first and foremost. You know, Carlos Santana, that's a meme floating around, that's pretty hot right now, is that their music comes from our people. And the reason their music comes from our people is that they were allowed, like during the whole slavery bit or the indoctrination into European ideologies, they were allowed to still play drums. Whereas the American descendants of slavery, we were robbed of everything. Like our folks were robbed of language. They were robbed of everything. And there's even speaks. The drums used to be signals for runaway slaves to know where it was safe to go and where it was to turn up and not turn up or whatnot. It's out there. At least that's what we ran across. Because again, we weren't there. We don't know any better. We're just sharing with you something that we ran across. So when it comes to like Afro Mexicanos, Afro Latinos in general, it's a slippery slope, because there's so many people that don't want to embrace being a Cedar African. Hell, there's Negroes right here in the America that have two whole Negro parents that don't want to embrace the fact that we're from Africa. And then we can mix it up and talk about how the indigenous people were reclassified because the native on the reservation was considered a so-called Indian, whereas when they came off of the reservation, they were Negro, which means that the indigenous people look just like Africans because, well, possibly we're guessing, and this is just a guess. It's our swag. Scientific wild ass guess, swag, like y'all can write that down. Swag, scientific wild ass guess, is that those indigenous people were Africans. Just so far removed when we start talking about again the for those that have been keeping up, the outer Africa concept. And we've heard people try to discount that, and it's kind of funny. It's not funny. We shouldn't say it's funny because one of the theories is that are we supposed to be so naive? We're just quoting somebody right now. Are we supposed to be so naive to believe that life came out of Africa and only out of Africa as far as humans are concerned? So when we look at that, we have to start thinking about animals, the other animals, because when we rewind the tape, humans are animals. You're not vegetables, you're not minerals, you're an animal, right? Right. So looking at plant life, perfect example. The yucca plant, Joshua tree, yucca plant. One of the two. What is it? The yucca, the Joshua tree, yucca. One of the two, they grow in the Bible in the gates of heaven and the gates of hell. And on the planet Earth, they grow in Jerusalem and in 29 Palms. Like when you look at America, there's no such thing as an American lion. like no, honestly, there's no such thing. There's no such thing as a coyote in Africa. Like this is because all these animals and plants, they grow out of nature's necessity of putting them here. And that's pretty much what it boils down to. Is that, so we're a firm believer that it might not have been Mesopotamia because when you look at the oldest human remains they found, and when we say human, we mean human, right? Are in Africa. The second oldest set of remains that they found were actually, 200,000 years later in the America, and they still weren't white. So it gets hinky, and it's so difficult for those people that don't have this knowledge to understand that we're all the same people. All the indigenous, all the aboriginal folks, we all are from the same place. And, Mexico has been it's been raped. Like literally, because when you start talking about the Incas, the Aztecs, and Mayans, all those people were copper colored. And the only reason Mexicans are walking around here this color, red hair, blonde hair, green, blue eyes, and whatnot, is because of the Spaniards raping them and the infestation of these Europeans. That's the only reason Mexicans look the way they do, because true story. One of our high school sweethearts looked just like us. Like we would be walking around in the mall or wherever, and we'd be like, yo, who has the bigger nose, us or our sister? And a lot of times they'd be like, your sister does. And we would do that as a joke, but to remind her that we were so similar. Like we're the same people. And you know what? We might even rob a picture off her. We'll try to find her or something and rob a picture and post us side by side, because we're pretty positive we don't have one of us together. But so yeah, we're all the same people. We're all the same people, and the European influence on it, and especially for those that caught on to the whole when we made the post about the Louisiana Purchase. And the Louisiana Purchase was basically white people staying on code, where the French inhabited Louisiana, Oklahoma, what's above that? What's above that? Because Arkansas is off to the side a little bit. This region almost all the way up into the Dakotas, basically from like North Dakota down to Louisiana, that was the entire Louisiana purchase that America bought from the French. While the French were there inhabiting in that area, they had to do something with the natives. And one of the things they did was either create alliances or they conquered them and colonized them. And they moved right in. Well, Europe, for whatever reason, they were having problems with some of the natives not complying or what have you. And they were like trying to figure out what to do with the area and didn't want to just give it away, like give it up. But America was like, oh, no, we'll buy that. We'll buy that. But the thing is that everywhere the colonizers have been, they've been raping people. Whether they, what is it? We love that series Frontier, where they were actually marrying off native women to white dudes, so that way they would actually that was based on true events, to where they were garnishing land rights through those marriages while offering the natives Christianity. So you would have this white dude marrying a native woman. Now, because he has this native wife, he has a voice when it comes to their property, to their land. He has a claim and a stake in it. And that's, again, based on true events. That's how it was going down. It's the same way with those $5 Indians. Them $5 Indians. Yeah, they were the Dawes Act. Look that up. The Dawes Act. They were legitimately running up to the comptroller or whoever, the record keepers, talking about, oh, here, make me an Indian. Here's my $5 so I can have rights to land grants, so I can have benefits. And so when white people are walking around now talking about, well, I'm 132nd or 164th native, they don't understand that they got bought into it. It's just crazy. It's just crazy to us. So, in our reality, it's not that crazy, because white people have been pencil whooping our people, the planet, since Africans taught them how to speak, since the Moors taught them how to bathe, since the Egyptians taught them about religion. White people have been flipping script forever and a day. And that's again why we love social media so much. Oh, Edwin, do we field your question? Did we hold on, is Edwin even still here? All right, check out. So let's see, what else did we talk about lately? Oh, the whole R. Kelly thing. We actually been kind of staying quiet on it. We've been staying quiet on it. Oh, absolutely, Christy. No. They actually act how they want to act wherever they go. You're right. They don't know how to, and it's so crazy in that. Is that when we start talking about like chastising and disciplining our children, they don't want us to spank our children, but they're okay with the police killing them. And they don't want us spanking our children for acting a fool in the grocery store, even though most of us got that briefing before we went in. You remember the briefing. You don't touch nothing. You don't want nothing. You don't need nothing. You keep quiet. You stay by me, nah. And if you not leaving when I'm leaving you here. Like, we get those briefings, whereas Hunter and Heather are running around, and their parents are, it's so cute. Oh, they're so animated. But if it was a Negro child, oh my God, look at this unfit parent. I get to wear a CPS. Nah. Like, for real though, that's how they flip it. And it goes to the same thing with the whole R. Kelly thing. That's perfect segue. R. Kelly, Michael Jackson, Bill Cosby are all the face of sexual predators right now, where there's countless white dudes that even Brock Turner got 6 months in prison. 6 months in prison. And even his own dad was like, oh, well, it shouldn't ruin his life for, 30 seconds of action. And we're like, that's not action. See here, look, if you go to the club, you meet a female and she's down for whatever, you go to the hotel, her place, your place, whatever, that's action. Brock Turner raped a whole rape of a woman and got 6 months in prison, but they got R. Kelly on trial. They found Bill Cosby guilty after women had been found out to lie on him. Like one woman, we remember, she wasn't even in the same country at the time the allegation of the alleged sexual encounter as far as him raping her was concerned. She wasn't even in the country. And yet people were like, Bill Cosby needs to go to jail. Bill Cosby needs to be punished. Bill Cosby, who's building his own network to put out black entertainment and educational information, needs to be locked up. And yet people want to say that defending him is us being wrapped up in cognitive dissonance instead of seeing their own version of automatically being ready to throw the book at a Negro. Okay, maybe we're the only one that gets it like that, right? We're gonna quit smoking, but our parents didn't raise any quitters. What else? Highlight lately. Let's see. Bill Cosby, R. Kelly, and you know what? We've had to chill out with the R. Kelly, but there's some funny memes floating around about that. It's just that we really would hope that there would be more Harvey Weinstein, more Woody Allen, more funny memes about the white people that are out there doing wrong. Because there's so many white folks that are legitimately guilty of committing pedophilia, rapes, and such, and white people give them passes. They want to get all the facts. Oh, hey, TLCB, how you doing? Thanks for joining. Yeah, and these white people just get to make it. In the court of public opinion. Nobody's gunning on them like they should be. So our thing is that we promise you, every time we see a meme about one of these white bastards, we gonna repost it, and we hope that you repost it. You don't have to tag us in it. We're not gonna cry about it when we see it on your page. We just gonna like it and keep it moving. However, we hope that our people will ride just as hard on these white criminals as we do our own. It's so sad. Because some of y'all might have been here for the cracker post. As far as vocabulary word we put out, like we do the video or whatever, and we chopped it up to where there was a white dude beating a slave, and then there was an African beating an African slave. Because the thing about it is sometimes Negroes are the crackers. Oprah was out here. Oprah, oh my goodness. Oprah out here co-signing to the whole
Fuck
MJ
you,
thing,
Oprah.
the Neverland or whatever.
Fuck you, Oprah.
And kissing Harvey
I'd love
Weinstein.
to see Oprah to yell out, fuck you, Oprah.
We know she protecting her bag and everything, and y'all can tag her and let her know we said it. We know she's protecting her bag and her status and where she's at. And somebody was like, we were in somebody's post, and they were like, oh, eventually she gonna get hers, and we're like, nah, probably not. As long as she stays on code for white people, she gonna leave the game untouched. And people are speculating of which Negro is gonna be next. Like when they came for brother Kevin Hart, with these, he got put on to be the spokesperson, the announcer at the Oscars, And all of a sudden, these so-called quote-unquote homophobic tweets just resurfaced out the blue. And everybody was gunning on Kevin. But in the same energy, when that white dude who was a so-called comedian or whatever had made anti-black tweets and they resurfaced because he's, married to an African or whatever, everybody's like, oh, well, that was in the past. Oh, let it go. Oh, he's evolved. He's changed. And it was all like rainbows and unicorns for this white dude. But Kevin, who actually apologized like 7 years, 6 years. He's apologized a few times already in the past. He even was on Ellen DeGeneres' show, and she was basically telling her community, the LGBTQ community, whatever, let it go. And their people were like, she had no business accepting that apology on behalf of us. We're like, yo, like who has to give Kevin a pass? Like, does Elton John? Because we think Elton John might be gay enough to to accept the apology from Kevin and make it okay. Like we think Elton John's gay enough. Maybe that's who he has to appeal to. And it's crazy. And even in that, when we rewind shortly to the whole Roseanne Barr thing. When she was talking about Sister looking like a monkey from Planet of the Apes. Or whatever. White folks were like, well, she didn't know. And then all these excuses. Oh, you're right, Christy. All skin folk ain't kinfolk. Hands down. We've had crackers. Even before, they were saying that Christopher Columbus's navigator was a Moor. We're going to say that again. Christopher Columbus's navigator was a Moor, an African. And the thing about it is how did that African know how to get to the Americas? Let that sink in. But yeah, no. All skin folk and kinfolk. And, and we try our best, though. We really do try our best to leave the house as pro-black as we are on social media. Like, we legitimately do. And in all our endeavors, and even on social media, we try to abstain in arguing with our people. Because of the simple fact that there's enough negativity. There's enough people ready to tear each other down floating around out there. And it's one thing to address an issue, and it's another thing to slander someone for whatever reason. And that's like, you'll notice that we don't engage in a lot of posts unless we're adding on. Unless we're added on, we don't argue with people online. We do our best not to. And then the only reason we do is so we can make screenshots so you can enjoy the conversation. Like, that's the real that's the only reason we do that. Is just for the screenshot of opportunity. And what else locally? Hold on. Lately. Oh, and white people not knowing how to act. And it's so crazy because we live in Los Angeles, right? And there's always these stories like that one, the white guy who had to stomp out a mountain lion, we believe it was. He was attacked by a mountain lion while he was jogging on a trail out in the woods. Yeah, white people freak out about that because they're in these animals' natural habitat, and because the animals act like animals, they're surprised. Like, we live in South Central. There's no lions, tigers, bears, or any of that here. Like, we can walk outside and, they talk about black on black crime and this, that, and the third, and people always ask us, they're like, oh, wow, you live in South Central? Oh, what's that like? That's got to be so dangerous. We ain't never seen a drive-by.
It's home.
We ain't never, we picked moving to South Central. Like, we were looking at North Hollywood to be close to one of our aces or whatever. But we instinctively picked South Central because of the simple fact we do not look out of place here to cops. Because in North Hollywood, walking around, black dude like this, yeah, cops see us, we're a target. We're an easy target. But in South Central, we're just another Negro walking around. Get it? Get it. So yeah, white folks, they're so offended by these animals being animals in their natural habitats, which sounds really similar to them seeing savage Africans, Indians, and whoever else they encounter. You know, it's like we always have the conversation about anime, and we made a post like a couple years ago about it. Whereas any fans of anime can co-sign of this, and you can go and look it up yourself, whatever. But the majority of anime characters look European. Anime comes from the Asian community, but the characters that they depict, they draw out, and they animate are Caucasian in appearance. And, you know, they have the whole colorism thing going over there, too. And, part of it is hinged on, again, Africans being perceived as the lowest common denominator. However, in some social status, social circles, we should say, being darker means that you work outside, which means your economic status is beneath those that don't. And that's why they have skin bleaching going on in Asia too. Like where they have these skin lightening products floating around because of the simple fact that, again, dark is negative. Just the same way the word black is dirty, white is pure. And that's what Europeans set into motion in how colorism plays its evil game. But anywho, since nobody else is jumping in, we were actually checking on somebody, but they evidently had other things to do. So we gonna clock out, but y'all gonna see us in your newsfeed. The podcast is coming. Like, actually, we have a podcast that we made a hot minute ago that we probably need to drop and should drop, and just, yeah, there's some moving pieces. We don't want to go into the details, whatever. But there's more in the pipeline. And again, thank you everybody for checking in on the live session. Thank everybody that shares our posts and tags us in it and keeps our name in people's mouths. Thank you to everybody that checks on our music. And by the by, if you didn't know, whenever you hear like us talking and instrumental in the background,